Hello, everybody. Welcome to UGASports Live. My name is Radi Nabulsi. I'm joined by former Georgia Bulldogs head coach Jim Donnan. Coach Donnan is going to give us a breakdown of the Mississippi State game and look ahead to the Texas game. And we have a ton of questions from the dog event for him. These are going to be some head scratchers. We're going to push Coach today to get some really good answers on this Georgia football team as the number 5 Bulldogs host the number 10 Texas Longhorns Saturday in Sanford Stadium. Kickoff set for 7:30, but we know that's probably going to be 7:45 or something by the time all the pregame hullabaloo dies down. Please join us this Saturday for the watch-along. We had 150,000, seemed like people joined us last week. I know a lot of that has to do with the fact that YouTube TV's kind of screwing you out of it, but if you can't watch the game on YouTube TV, watch it with us because Coach gives you great insights, and that's the whole reason tuning into this show is because he has insights about what we saw last Saturday and what we're likely to see this coming Saturday. He nailed it. If you watch anything from last week, go back and watch his opening thoughts on the Georgia-Mississippi State game. He nailed exactly what needed to happen, and that's what did. And, Coach, I thought that was the best the Bulldogs looked all year. I mean, they give up the first touchdown. The first drive was bad, but then 30-something unanswered points. That was pretty impressive.
It was what we needed as a collective group, Roddy, just the fact that complementary football, the offense really took the bull by the horns, had the one turnover inside the red zone, but very effective at the line of scrimmage on both sides, rushing the passer, protecting the passer, running the ball, stopping the run, making explosive plays, stopping explosive plays. It was some brilliant tactician moves by Kirby there at the end of the half, a la Notre Dame last year, what they did to us. So it was very systematic, but also played with a lot of emotion and got some big carryover going into this game against the Longhorns.
I like that they had a couple of huge plays. I'd written a column on Friday talking about Georgia was the only team in the SEC that didn't have a play from scrimmage that went over 50 yards. Everybody else had at least one. Most had 3 or 5 or 15. Georgia just hadn't hit any really long explosives. And, I mean, in the 20-30 range, they're okay, but 40-plus, 50-plus, more than that, Georgia just didn't have it. Then they had 2 of them in that one game. Georgia also didn't have last in the league in sacks. They got 3. It felt like the old Georgia football team, Coach. kind of felt like the explosive in the offense, and then the defense that gets to the QB is.
Yeah, I think our team has made significant improvement in a lot of areas. We've talked about it on this show and the watch-along show about how much better your offense can function if you got some continuity in your O-line where you're looking why you don't have to really move your protections around and you can kind of just let it rip and call your plays and not worry about, well, this guy right here hasn't played. We've got to protect him, or this guy right here is not used to doing this. But now we've got some real strengths in that O-line that we can utilize. As you've watched our team, we've got very good movement, athletic kids up front that can pull. And when you can do that, and instead of just coming off and zone blocking, where the man that's playing against you is not sure if you're going to block down on him, if you're going to come off on him hard, if you're going to influence him and then get trapped, it causes a lot of doubt. And then you add those big tight ends that we have that can block at the point of attack and also pull and block the perimeter. Puts a really big stress on the defense. And then when you add the fact that you can use play action off that and drop back, and your quarterback is really good at getting you in the right play and getting you out of the wrong play and taking care of the football, which he's been magnificent at all year, protecting the ball. And, turnovers hurt you, but when they occur on the other end of the field, not near as bad as when on your end of the field. So even though Bell's fumble was a bad one, it didn't hurt us. And then defensively, I just felt like that we've talked about it all year. This is a defense that needs to have a situation where they can dictate what the offense is doing. By that, down and distance, where they can use some of their rushes, where they can use some of their coverages and not have the either or where a team could run or pass. And we showed some really good technique, a good swim move by Gabe Harris on a pass rush, some backside pressure, linebackers running through, and then played the ball in the air for the most part. I was surprised. I was surprised they didn't take more deep shots, but I think they were kind of just shocked by how much we dominate them because they've been on that victory salute there all week after finally getting the SEC win, and I think their backs were a little sore from everybody patting them on the back, and they didn't realize what the Georgia Bulldogs were bringing in there. So they didn't handle adversity very well, that's for sure.
For the folks in the comment section asking why does the screen look like it does, we have two different versions we're trying out this week. We have a horizontal version that you're used to, and we also have a vertical version for YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and all the ones that have, if you're used to watching reels on your phone, everything's vertical on Facebook, everything is vertical on Instagram and stuff like that. So we're trying both. If you don't like the way you see it, just choose the other version. It'll look more like it did before. We got Dayne joining us now, and that was kind of the overall picture on the offensive defense, but I want to call out a few individual performances. You mentioned Gabe Harris looking great on his swim move and sack, and I thought Quintavious Johnson shed some blocks that just haven't seen him do before. He looked really good. But you've been saying that Nate Frazier needed to get back to being Nate Frazier. You pointed out that he looked overly concerned with fumbling the ball. He got benched for fumbling the ball. Let's call it what it is. And you saw him, I don't say overcompensating, but he was working so hard to protect the ball that it seemed to affect his running style. This past week, 181 yards. Nate looked like Nate did some time ago. I just want to get your thoughts on Nate Frazier's performance, because that, to me, we can gloss over everything that happened, but that was the story of the game to me, the way he ran.
Well, what happens, it's just hard to believe, but we start talking up one back. The week before, we're talking about Bowens, and let's get Bowens in there, play more, and then all of a sudden Bowens scores a touchdown early, and then we don't see him much. Frazier only played about 20 plays, I think, and ran 12 times. But having coached backs over the years, it's just a situation where it's like you're hitting a golf ball, and you're worried about if you're going to hit it in the water, and you're really thinking about it, and it's on your mind instead of just clearing the hazard. The same things with protecting the ball and worried about fumbling, and the fact that it cost your team so heavily against Alabama that it's riding on your mind. So it's not, you can't make the instinctive moves that you make if you're thinking that your brain can handle certain things. I'm not Sigmund Freud here, but you can do some things with the football when you're not worried about and your legs and your feet and your eyes, when you're not worried about protecting it so much. It should be just an instinctive deal to protect the ball, rock the baby, protect it, and then use your instincts to run an open field. And Dayne missed it, but we talked in the get-go, the fact that we're able to create some pretty good plays at the line of scrimmage where the first guy that's contact is making 4 or 5 yards down the field, then that's your job as a running back or a tight end or a receiver to make some people miss you. You just can't block it 100%. And he ran through some tackles, but he also showed some good speed. He didn't use the angle that he needed to on the one touchdown. You got to get your body running at the angle of the pylon where you can give yourself a ability to maybe get knocked around and still stay in bounds. He ran too much to the boundary, but it was a tremendous game for Nate. And I think going down the stretch here, it's going to help our team to have that explosive ability, because you're going to play against some teams this week and in the playoffs where when you got a chance to make a big play, you better do it, because most teams are going to have a defense that's going to make you earn it, and you're not going to get 70, 80, 90-yard marches without some explosive plays.
I'm thinking back to when we did the season preview. We knew that they had to replace a lot of guys on the offensive line, and that, as you point out, that's become an absolute bonus for Georgia, that offensive line, moving guys around. When we talked about the tight ends, I don't say that we said they were serviceable. We just said they weren't Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington. For the last 3 weeks, Coach, the tight ends have and I don't know if they're just going to them more, but some of the blocks they've thrown and some of the catches they've made, including young Elias Williams, Let me get your thoughts on the tight ends and how that might work out against this week against Texas, because this is a Texas team that is number one against the run. And I just think that the way these tight ends are playing, I love the way the offensive line's playing. I love the way the backs are going. But it's also, you talked about all the tools they have. That tight end group seems to be really coming on. And shout out to Lawson Lucky for taking a big hit. And they say he'll be okay. Hopefully he will be. But, I mean, he took a shot and got up under his own power. And he's tough. He's lucky tough. But give me your thoughts on the tight ends, Coach.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the tight ends, the athleticism is there to catch the ball and run routes and block in the open field, but the power is there at the point of attack. I mean, you've got to have guards and tackles, but you got to have a tight end that can seal the edge. And with the leverage that all three of these guys got, they can lean on you. By that, I mean, they're just not coming off and trying to rip up through you. They've got some good body leverage there that takes away a lot of the defensive power when you can get leverage on the blocker. Because once you get a tie with him and you got some height, that's all you need with our backs. So I remember 3 years ago when Kirby was down at Champs School, and I was wondering why he was there. He said, there's a kid here, it's going to be a sophomore. It's a basketball player that's playing basketball tonight. It's going to be a heck of a player. He can play defense or offense, but he wants to play offense. And he told me about Elias then, and then subsequently the kid transferred to another school. But that was the first I heard of him. But he definitely – there's some people around the country in the scouting report are saying, please don't put him in. Just keep him over there and let him learn how to learn the plays and all. We'll play against him next year. I mean, he is a nightmare to cover. He can come off and block, and he can do more than just run a fade route. He can run a slant. He can do a lot of things. And, of course, we saw what Lucky did, get 3 touchdowns in one game. And then Oscar last week, just tremendous catch down the middle, and then a great catch over and run after the ball into the boundary there. So, and then we got Riddell, who's probably faster than any of them, that's getting some reps when Lucky went out. So that's a really strong room. That I don't use that word a lot about room, but really I think we've got really good players there, and Hartley continues to just have an unbelievable run of tight ends, and got some more coming in. We got Barbour, who's hurt right now, but he's an excellent player too, and we've got some others we're recruiting. And then John Lilly, having him as an extra coach, just gives them more time to work on technique and some things that maybe add to what Hartley's teaching them. But I always love tight ends. I mean, I like every position, but if you can, it's kind of a hybrid situation. If you can get a guy that can line up and play thud with them, but can also split out, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. Where are they going to describe where are they going to put their strength? So, for instance, if you've got 2 wide receivers and a tight end, and you move him out a little bit to the Z side to a slot, then that forces them to say, well, we're going to have to play some kind of one-on-one coverage on the backside against a split end. And then all of a sudden you move him over on the tight end side just by himself with a slot to the field. Now move him out by himself. Now they're saying, okay, can we play one-on-one on him, or do we need some more run support because they're going to put that number 1 in motioning over there, and they're going to block us and run a screen. So I want to mention this before we go any further today. I think Mike Bobo needs to be the orchestra of the year because he's the Irvin Berlin, man. That guy is really calling a lot of good plays, but he's setting them up, and he's using one thing to set up another. Like the first ball to Humphrey was a fake screen. Why do you run these screens? Well, you fake it and then throw it. Why do you run the screen on the 20-yard line? They got easy support there. They're all not going to look good for sure, but I just believe that anybody that's on his case right now, at least eat crow for this year. At least say, I was wrong this year, and don't blame the weather on him. Don't blame it being cold. Don't blame everything else, and let's get through the rest of the year and find somebody else. Some of these government people are trying to shut the government down or whatever it is, but let's let Mike.
That's his fault too, Coach. Come on. No, I know Dane. I'll let him get his thoughts in here, but I want to touch on two quick things you said. One, I did Sirius Radio with Chris Dorning and Peter Burns, and in the middle of this conversation with Georgia versus Texas, what's the first thing that pops up? Hey, tell us about Elias Williams. They could see it from afar. They're like, I mean, yeah, well, these, Nate Frazier had 180 yards. Yeah, but tell us about number 10. So you're right. People around the country are starting to focus on him. And I said when he got here, I could see James Coley trying to steal him away from Todd Hartley, saying, look, this kid has such soft hands. He's so big, such a mismatch. I'm taking him as a wide receiver because we saw him catch balls all the time.
Let's play him both ways. Let's put him in rush the passer.
Exactly.
And then he can play defense.
Yeah. And then the thing about Mike Bobo, a lot of people, I say a lot, there were very few people complaining about him after that Ole Miss game. This past week, he scored another 5 touchdowns in a row with his play calling. I know that whole Peanut Josh McCray dual back set feels like that's setting something up for later. I'm not sure what's coming there. But the people who were still complaining about Mike Bobo, it's the sunk cost fallacy. They've already come out and crapped on him or yelled at him or said he was bad. And now they don't want to look like they're wishy-washy. So now it's just out of habit, but not out of merit. So
yeah, I mean,
I tip my hat to Mike Bobo. I mean, any complaints I have are long gone, and doing it with a bunch of young guys out there. And remember, this is Gunnar Stockton's first year.
And watch all these other teams play. Does anybody just run up and down the field and make yards every play? I mean, every play is not going to work. These guys get scholarships. They give NIL money. I mean, you can't do that. And I watched this game last night. The best 2 pro teams in football, neither one of them could score. I mean, Packers and Eagles. And the Eagles, the NFC division. So I just think we're all spoiled. We like to see everything going up and down and going hunky-dory. And you're getting ready to see the rest of the year now, except for this Charlotte game. You're just going to see some football games are going to be decided by the kicking game, by mistakes. It's just not going to be up and down the field the rest of the year. That's for sure.
Me and Brent did Film Don't Lie this morning, Roddy, and I do want to give a couple just superlatives that we had. Oscar Delp, we all saw the pass catching. One of the best blocking games of his career as well. Oscar Delp was spectacular against Mississippi State. Monroe Freeling as well. And I don't know that people are noticing him because of the freshman that we all keep talking about and Drew Bobo having a great year. Freeling's effort right now is next level for Georgia. And it needs to be against the team that they're going to be playing this week with Texas coming into town. If there are concerns around, it should be how do you defend passing attacks right now? Because Mississippi State had opportunities that were available because of Georgia's safety situation that they could not exploit. Georgia will begin to play teams that can exploit those.
Yeah, that's an issue that we're going to just have to cover up for sure. But I do think people have a tendency to take for granted when a guy's just solid like Monroe is all the time. I mean, he's very athletic, but, you just don't – we're talking about the younger guys and how good they're doing. But he's having an all-conference type year for sure. And then, of course, I really admire the fact that 71 has come in there and come back like he has, with the issues he had with his back and really wants to be part of the team. And it just gives you a lot of structure there because he's had so many snaps. So it's just a very, very solid offensive line that's really gotten better. And it gives you so many different avenues that you can call plays with, but also control the other team's defense. I mean, when you can balance up the defense, which we talked about in a scouting report, they run a lot of exotic looks, but, they don't like you running right at them and hammer and tonging them. And that's what we did. At 300 yards rushing, hard to do. It's hard to do in a football game, and we did that very effectively. This is a team that should have beaten Texas, had Tennessee went to overtime with them, should have beaten Florida. So it's not some just random team. I mean, it was a very solid victory, and give us a lot of credit for it. And as you see going down the stretch here, so many scenarios here for the SEC down what's going to happen. And Texas controls a lot of everybody's destiny. They play us. They play A&M. They beat both of them. They're going to be – and they got to play, I think, Arkansas. if they win out, they're going to be in the SEC championship game.
That's we got a lot of questions about how about this upcoming Texas game. But before we get to them, I do want to mention our friends at Athens Ford real quick. I've mentioned how they do they sponsor the light show out at the Botanical Gardens. They also did a big fundraiser for Lydia's Place out in Watkinsville. And Lydia's Place is a nonprofit that provides housing and independent living skills and intensive case management for young adults. We're having what they call housing insecurity and having foster issues. It's a great charity, and they raised a bunch of money for it. That's what they do. And then, they're giving away Traeger grills, and then they raised money for Oglethorpe School, the elementary school, and then they're into every charity in town. They've did money for the Lauren Smith Center for Cancer Support. I mean, every time you see them, they're doing something for their local community. It's just it's crazy, just the sheer amount of stuff that they do. So check out our friends at Athens Ford. They are wonderful people, super kind, just great members of your community. And I know there a lot of them are vets out there. So happy Veterans Day, and shout out to all the vets out there as well. And also mention Darden's Delights. Now, this past week, I got a card from a friend of my older brother's, Nimmer, who's a vet. Thank you, Nimmer. This guy went to high school with him, and he's been a big watcher of our sponsor. Excuse me. He's been a big supporter of our shows for years and years, and he just sent me a nice card out of the blue. And I'm like, what can I do for Nat? And you guys remember, Coach, you remember when he sent us a whole cake? He came to Champions.
Nat Long?
Nat Long, yeah.
Hey, he's on my number A team, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I sent him a pie. I went to Darden's Delights and I ordered him one of those pies and sent it to him. So just if you have somebody that does something nice for you, you can do something nice for them. So I hope he likes.
Which one did you send them?
Oh, I sent him the original fudge, man.
Good choice.
The one that started it all. So I hope he likes it, because that's, to me, that's what's launched the whole thing. So if you have a situation where, especially now that we're November 11th and you're trying to do something for your colleagues, or you're going to a party and you're like, I don't have time to cook, go ahead and order a few of these, have them in your freezer, then thaw them out before the party starts, or send them to your colleagues or your people in your sphere of influence as a nice gift. So I guarantee you I'm going to be sending a lot more of those pies from Darden's Delights, because they too, the proceeds of that goes to a fantastic effort and charity for folks with developmental disabilities. So thank you to Darden's Delights. Check them out online.
Do we want to start with questions from UGASports.com?
Yes, sir. We got a lot of them this week, so we will jump right into them.
Billy Zane says, we saw several freshmen get some of the first non-garbage time snaps on Saturday. Is that solely because they earned them in practice, or is Georgia trying to get them more experience with now 4 to 7 games remaining?
Trying to keep them from transferring. No. I sound like that guy on the Hollywood Squares, Paul. But, I think that's a good question, Billy. I think that if you've seen the MO of Kirby over the years, as these guys get more and more, particularly the athletic guys, the guys that really can do things with their speed and quickness, they work them in a little bit on special teams, and then they start putting them in these packages where they can be more of a 1 down or 2 down type situation, that they use their speed and quickness or their size, whatever it might be. But I think it's just a case of giving them a little attention from the standpoint, hey, we see what you're going to be able to do. Here's what you can do, and rewarding their practice habits, and get them out there and see what they can, if they can add to some of the things that we need on defense or offense, particularly defense, where we haven't been that great at rushing the passer.
From B-Dog 4.
Let me interject one thing real quick, because Kirby was asked about this, and we have a story on the front page about it. And, Coach, he said that they use cumulative snaps, like how many snaps they've had in practice. Apparently, I think sounds like they almost have a target of how many you need I don't say before they trust you, but just kind of builds up over time. Does he have it down to that kind of science? I know he talks about the weight of each player.
Yeah,
He wants them at the speed he wants them to hit.
It's just the fact of proving in practice that you are capable of doing it in a game from the standpoint of you're not just going to put a guy in there and give him reps in practice unless you think you're going to use them in a game. So you use those practice reps accordingly. And if a guy's good enough to warrant those, then you let him do enough so he can get in the game and you know you're going to be comfortable with it.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for explaining that because I was a little confused.
From B-Dog4, questions about the defense. B-Dog4 believes that the front seven will hold its own, assuming no more injuries. We know Jordan Hall's out. And Kirby Smart's specialty has always been that back four. So why does Georgia find itself, whether it's recruiting, transfer, development stage, of the secondary being a weak link? And what can you do to improve that with the remainder of the season?
Okay, number one, we got killed in the transfer portal. We lost some good players. And we didn't recruit very good number two of the transfer portal guys that we got in. So that adds up to 1 and 1 adds to 0. It didn't work out good. We lost some good players. They're playing for other teams. We had some guys that were pretty good that we felt like we couldn't afford to keep based on who we needed to get. Like Chris Peel went to Syracuse, and Chris probably could help us now, but more than we might have thought. And nothing against the three guys we brought in, but they just haven't panned out as good. We got some good work out of Branch in the Florida game, but Maddox and the kid from Miami just haven't worked out. The other thing is, we have certain guys that aren't just really good cover guys. I mean, they're more zone guys. Aguero at nickel and DeCorey Thomas is more of a zone guy. So when we do play man, people take advantage of us. And then linebacker-wise, which is part of your perimeter, our linebackers aren't that great at coverage. They're good at rushing, stopping the run and rushing, but Raylan Wilson is okay on coverage, but he's – and then CJ is more of a every down type guy. We got Chris Cole and Williams that maybe can cover. But our recruiting was great, but we lost some of these guys. They left in the transfer portal.
It gives you an appreciation for a Dan Jackson, too, who that's a player that could have transferred way earlier to play in other places and stuck around and found his role and was invaluable for Georgia.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Malachi Starks the last couple of weeks jumping up and getting those interceptions and making the plays like he's made in the pros. I mean, he's starting as an NFL guy. I watched last night Javon Bullard playing for the Green Bay Packers, Kamari Lassiter.
Tyke Smith with the Bucks.
Yeah, Bucks. And then just one after the other. Just hard to snap your fingers and replace these guys when not only they're not here because the guys you brought in, but some of the ones you wanted to do become players left and went other places because they didn't want to wait in line to play. A.J. Harris, a corner, playing over there for Penn State. I'm sure he's worried about his playoff chances right now when they haven't won a game. So,
next levels question. You hear people talk about Steve Sarkisian using the bye week to pull out all the stops for this game, particularly to beat Georgia after last year. How much of an advantage do bye weeks provide in terms of preparing specific plays or strategies?
Well, I think it's kind of a paradox there. I mean, this late in the season, I don't know. I kind of like that momentum going. You know, you got things rolling. We didn't ever used to have two byes, just had one. So, they all of a sudden they've got knocked off by Florida, and then they kind of resurrected their team and got it going and started throwing more quick passes, not using as many counting on the O-line, which they lost all those players, protecting as long and really giving Arch a better shot. So maybe it's going to be okay, but I think from my perspective, there's not anything that he's going to really dream up to go against us. We can go back to COVID year when he's coaching at Alabama, some of the things he did. I mean, he's a good play caller and a good coach, but they're not the Texas team we played last year, but maybe we're not the Georgia team we were last year. Who knows? But every team's got its own identity.
Also from Next Level, to what degree did you put in extra effort as a head coach for games against rivals or teams that you were just itching to beat?
Well, I think you better get ready every week, and that's pretty evident with Kirby the way he prepares our team. But you got a little bit of extra there on your rivals. You want to do all you can year round to work on things because those are teams you need to beat. And but I think your approach every week has got to be based on what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are compared to the other team, and your total team's got to understand that. You talk to them on Sunday team meeting. Hey, man, this team's got an unbelievable offense. Our defense is going to have to play good, but our offense is going to have to step it up and score some points here. We're just not going to win a low-scoring game against these guys. Conversely, you talk to your defense sometime about, hey, the other team's got a great defense. We're not going to score that much, so you got to shut them down. And then in the bottom line, talk to your special teams. We got to get an edge this week, find a way to get some field position, steal a possession with a turnover or whatever it might be. But all of it's in the mindset of your players of setting up a philosophy and a mindset that this is how we're going to win the game.
I want to interject something real quick here. You talk about what you say to your team. I thought it was brilliant what the coaches at Georgia pulled off this past Saturday. They reached out to the parents of the players and said, and some of the middle school coaches and stuff like that said, hey, Georgia's got an early game, 11 o'clock local time. We want these. This kind of reminds you of when, your kid was in the 45-pound Mighty Mites or the, first, second, third grade when they were playing young, and you got up early and you went and played a game at, you had a 9 o'clock game, 10 o'clock game, 11 o'clock game. Can you give us some photos and some commentary? And they put together this package, and the guys watched it. They saw pictures of themselves in their little league football uniforms, and the moms and dads were talking about what they did with the kids. Some of the coaches, younger, the little league coaches were talking about it. And they had guys laughing and crying, and they went out this past Saturday and played like they did when they were little kids. And I just thought it was a brilliant piece of motivation by the Georgia coaching staff, and I didn't want to let it go unsaid because that was incredible.
Yeah, plus the fact that dedicated the game to the custodian over there, Kim Allen, who unexpectedly passed away last week. She was a bright, shining star over there all the time. Just anything she could do for the players really picked me up every time you saw her. And you use those little things like we once every 2 or 3 years we would have a situation where we'd get all the seniors up and say, okay, if we could play one game and dedicate one game ball, who would it be to, and why would you do it? And all the players knew we were going to do that, but it wasn't necessarily every year. But it was always very touching to hear who they would give that ball to, and then most of the time we'd win the game, and then we'd give that ball to whoever they dedicated it to.
Well, that's awesome.
From back to Buckhead, dog, Mississippi State and Florida worked the Texas defense earlier in the year when Texas was playing on the road. Two common opponents that Georgia's had more success with compared to Texas. What does Georgia do well on offense that they can take from those two games and apply it to this weekend against Texas?
Well, the one thing I saw in that Texas defense against Mississippi State, I didn't think they thought that those receivers could run past them like they did. And you saw some really deep balls against Texas that they don't normally give up. So I'm sure they're going to be worried about that with us because we can do that. But they didn't actually run the ball real good against Texas, but they ran it good enough. But they scored 38 points in 3 quarters. I mean, they didn't score at all in the fourth quarter or overtime. So that's a lot of points against this Texas defense. And then, of course, Florida just made a lot of third down conversions and did a really good job of utilizing Ball, the running back, and Lagway hit the passes on them. And they really got after Arch, too. They rushed the passer extremely well all day. But Arch missed some UFOs. So, I mean, there were some guys that were so open, it was unbelievable, but he didn't have time to get his feet set against. So they were Florida had to thank their lucky stars. We talked about that on our show, that they had guys open. Texas doesn't have quite the receiving core that they had last year. and they lost those offensive linemen that were drafted. But they got Wingo, who's really fast. They got that punt returner. They got some really good defensive linemen. Their linebackers are more run stoppers. So I could see us using our tight ends and backs attacking their line. And, last year, the first half, the score should have been a lot worse the first half. We hadn't had those turnovers. It would have been ugly the first half. And then the second game, we didn't do much against them, but Gunner came in there and played good enough. But can't worry about last year. Just got to go on with this year. But I can just say right now, I like our chances. I like playing at home. I like our team. We're building some momentum. Defense is getting the more, aware of what they can do and what they can't do. Our kicking game is sound, and got that scent of a dog right now, man. We're getting ready to hunt.
From Hug Dog 18, I love the watch along show, and you noted that Georgia's defensive line and the splits that they had on the first drive. Is that a player error, or what causes that, and how can you remedy it? Because it felt like the same way that Georgia's splits were against Florida and Lagway when he ran up the middle twice.
Well, the one against Florida was just an alignment because we were playing man under, and we had both backers out. And we didn't do anything with our front to take care of that big gap. Usually, if you're playing man, you got to get outside where the guy is. You can't line up and protect the run. So it was 1st and 20. So that's why that worked. We didn't do the stun up front. Now against a different scenario against Mississippi State, they take big splits between their guards and tackles and tackles and ends to try to create some running lanes. And we had to adjust to that. We weren't moving around enough to make them have to do anything. They just by alignment, they were killing us. So we started moving around and stunting inside, taking some areas, and that's something that you do as the game progresses. But very good by him to pick that up. But two different things there. Florida was just an alignment thing. Mississippi State, it was just a technique thing.
We got 4 more questions from the event. We can pause, though, and chat about our friends at Atlanta Dental Implants.
Yeah, I definitely want to mention them real quick because the folks at Atlanta Dental Implants, you got local doctors, local experts. So if you were in the Atlanta biosphere, the inside, outside the perimeter, if you're within a couple hours of Atlanta, you need to drive in and check out with the local experts there. You're going to meet the doctor when you go down. It's on your first visit. You're just not going to be like, oh, well, come in. And have you guys noticed a new thing where you don't get to meet the doctor the first time? You have to go meet like a physician's assistant or something. And then they make a second appointment for you to come and meet the actual doctor. I'm dealing with this with my aunt, and it's ridiculous to meet a new doctor. But you're not going to have that problem at Atlanta Dental Implants. You're going to go in. You're going to meet Dr. Skylar Holcomb. They do have some fantastically affordable options. Implants are not cheap, but these guys have figured it out because they figured out where all the costs are coming from, and they brought in their own lab. So they have their in-house lab. They're like, well, we can cut down the cost of sending this stuff out by doing it here. Plus, we can do it 1,000 times faster. It's not going to take you weeks and months and stuff like that. You can get this stuff done in a day. And they have flexible payment plans and package pricing, and you can see it on their website. So check out our friends at Atlanta Dental Implants. They also sponsor our UGASports 321 Georgia Report. They sponsor this show, and the reason is Dr. Skylar Holcomb is just a rabid Georgia fan. So if you want to go in there and talk about getting your teeth fixed, he'll do that. You want to go in there and talk about stuff on the dog vent, you bend his ear all day. This is an absolute diehard Georgia guy, and I'm going to, in my next column, you'll see they've got some funny teeth with dogs written across it. It's just these folks are great Georgia fans that have been a member of UGASports for a long time. So shout out to Dr. Holcomb and the entire Atlanta Dental Implants group. Great.
Roddy, I heard a rumor that you were going to discontinue that column because you got everything so much right last week. You figured if they'd ever do it again.
Hey, go out on top, Coach.
I think you probably – there's no way you can top that one. I mean, that was a good one.
Hey, the only thing that really bugged me was I said that Chauncey Bowens needed to be the MVP of the defense. It was Nate Frazier. But Either one of them, like you said. I mean, we spent so much time talking about Chauncey Bowens, and remember Nate Frazier comes back, and I'm really interested to see how that 1-2 punch goes up against the number one rush defense in the SEC, which belongs to Texas. So if you can run on them, that's going to be a wild day.
This question from Parkus: the cross dog blitzes, pressures from linebackers, and the stunts from the defensive line. Where was that in the previous games?
Well, we ran it. They just blocked it. I mean, we didn't get a lot of 30-second longs either to run that blitz. So we've had it this year, but easily, like you said, we didn't have much success because people blocked it, or we didn't use it because we didn't get in third and second long.
From Red and Black in the Day said, in the old days when you didn't have a playoff system, how frustrating was it to see teams play a softer schedule and be ranked higher than you, reaping the benefits of that during bowl season?
Yeah, that's an age-old problem back in the days, and it is just nowadays. When you look at the schedule that even Texas A&M, I mean, look at their schedule. I mean, it's not their fault, but the Notre Dame win helps them remarkably well move up the ladder. But in the grand scheme of things in the SEC, they're big wins over LSU. I mean, they really haven't. Who else have they beaten that's even close to being ranked? So, but I think their team's very good, and I think they'll probably win out more than likely. But you look at Indiana. I mean, good Lord. I mean, down the road here, they got to play Wisconsin and Purdue. And
hey, now Wisconsin got a big win this week when their punter was their leading passer.
13 points, and they still won. And hey, maybe we need to get that guy to go to Florida. They're talking about that Jeb Fish maybe be the Florida coach. If he can't score any more points than that on Wisconsin, I'd be glad to have him down there.
From Red and Black in the Day says, given your fondness of the wishbone, what does the spread offense embrace from that old formation? And also, did eliminating chop blocks effectively kill the wishbone, given you need that at the line of scrimmage?
Well, I'll always have a place in my heart for the bone because, option football gives you a great equalizer. And then if you got power to go with it, it's kind of a dominant. It keeps the other team off the field, protects your defense, and runs the clock. But as far as a pure chop block, what they're talking about now is the where you actually set a guy up and then block him one guy high and one guy low, and that's the way it should be. We used to do more of what we call a shoe shine block, where we would cut people off and be around the bottom of their feet. So running to the right, the guy on the left would cut the guy off and go for his feet. Tech did that, but Tech did a little bit more going for their legs than we did. We never went like that. But I think as far as the spread elements of option football, you see that some with the perimeter runs where you're blocking the perimeter with a stalk block and another guy, kind of like you do on the pitch on the option, although you're just flaring it out there. So there's nothing like it. So my best Barry Switzer imitation is he grabs that arm. Can we flare and pitch it? Can we flare and pitch it? Well, if we can flare and pitch it, that made the old coach happy.
Can we see him maybe a little option read with Gunner this weekend?
Yeah, I don't know that we're doing the pure read as much we are the wrap plays where where it's a predetermined where you pull it and then the guard or the tight end, and sometimes both tight ends, one of them's coming around to wrap and the other one's going in the flat to catch the ball, like we did with Delp the other day. And then we saw both of them do it against Ole Miss, where both of them pulled out and blocked the perimeter. But we have shown one play, which I like, is where we run the ride play on the wide sweep. And if the read key goes out, then Gunner goes right up the middle. That's tough on a defense.
I like it.
From BTV Dog, do you have opinions on how Georgia's offensive line and defensive line stack up against Texas and vice versa? How do you look at that for this weekend?
Good question.
I like our line versus their D line as far as just being a very competitive. I mean, both of them got good good skill, skill level, talent level, strength, well coached. I think it's going to be they're going to win some, we're going to lose some. I like our D line against their O line. Everybody that's played against them has created a lot of lost yardage plays, but they're doing some things different now. They're throwing the ball quicker. They're running some RPOs where it's not necessarily a run or a pass, but they were trying to do a lot of counters and zone plays early, and people are just beating them at the point of attack. So, but I think we got an edge with our D line against their O line. I think slight edge maybe with our O line against their D line, but it's tight.
Yeah, something's going to have to give. That Texas leads the conference in sacks. I think they have 34. Georgia's only given up 11, which is tied for second and fewest sacks allowed. And that's just, we talk about the run game and pass protection, all that, but that is going to be it's strength on strength, Georgia's offense versus that Texas defense. And it'll be interesting to see if they can get to Gunner or if they can get him off his mark.
We'll get to this one on Facebook.
The one thing we've been able to do is stay ahead of the sticks. Not many lost yardage plays and not many penalties. So we just don't beat ourselves. That'll help a lot.
Texas gets a lot of penalties, Coach.
Well, that's what happens when you live in that state.
From Al Chandler on Facebook, curious why we haven't thrown the ball to C.J. Wiley yet.
Good question. It's hard to throw a lot to everybody, but Wiley's working his way up the ladder, and it just seems like we have a receiver of the week. Last week we saw Thomas. We've been waiting on him, and he made some plays, and we continue to get the ball to Zachariah. But he's definitely a guy that's got some real good potential. Wiley and also Roldan. Taylor should be coming back. That's a good recruiting class of receivers that we brought in.
Eddie from Ackworth, the strength of Texas' defense is stopping the run. Let's say that they hold Georgia to under 100 yards rushing. Can Gunner Stockton do enough to win this game if that happens?
Definitely. If they gang up on the run against us, we'll light them up. I can tell you that. They can't play to stop the run against us, and if they stop the run with their front forcing unit, just their 4-3 look, then I'll be really surprised. I think they got to get somebody spin a safety down, and Eddie, I count the screens and stuff as part of the runs. They got to support those too. But we had guys with blinker lights on last year. I'm talking about sirens running down the field on them in that first half last year. It was unbelievable. And I hope we can do that again this year. Mike had a great plan for him. I know we will again, but we just can't get caught up in that burnt orange, giving them too much credit for being Texas. They're a good team, but in my mind, we played against better defenses for sure.
Evan Grimes says, what schemes can Georgia use to limit what Colin Simmons can do best?
You talking about their player?
Yeah. He'll be a first-round pick on the defensive side.
You can't get too caught up in worrying too much about a guy and trying to avoid him. You just got to make sure you control him. And so use some different looks, some different protections, some different ways to launch the ball and then run good routes. And but you got to be aware of a player like him for sure.
Is that one of the situations, Coach, where you just run right at a guy?
Nothing wrong with that, but also influence him. Show him a 50 and give him a 5. That's what the guy used to do when he was trying to get in the parking lot. Showed the guy outside a $50 bill, but then when he got inside and had to pay, gave him a 5. But I think it's a way to do things. But give him a little window dressing and look like you're going to zone block him and then come back with a down block and just mix it up.
Okay.
But I guarantee you, their D line's looking at that at our O line. And they're saying, yeah, that 71's a pretty good player and everything. Yeah, we can do a pretty good job. And then please don't put 73 in. Don't put 73 in. Just let 71 play. I remember when we were at Missouri and we had this guy called John Clay. called. His name was John Clay, but we called him the Masher. He was about 6'4", 310, and he's from St. Louis, and he didn't realize that it was long distance from St. Louis to Columbia. He called his girlfriend every night and talked for an hour. He came in and said, "Hey, Coach, what do I do about this bill?" I said, "John, this is long distance, man. You can't be talking to her." But he would have loved to have a cell phone. But anyhow, when we got to when I went down to Oklahoma, we started talking to some of the players. Of course, we'd played them a couple of years, and this one guy was saying that when D lineman was saying, "Coach, I really was glad that y'all didn't put that sophomore lineman in there, Big John." He said he came in for about 3 plays, and I was ready to come out. So, I mean, that's the way people look at it, guys. But Juan Gaston just completely engulfs you. I mean, he's incredible.
Last question of the day from Tucker Green over on Facebook says, with Zachariah Branch and his speed, do you feel like that Georgia should get the ball to him on a deep ball and maybe not quite as much only on the screen? I'm going to introduce George. You saw him be a one-on-one route. It wasn't necessarily a deep ball, but they're running stuff down the field with Branch too.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done, and it's a good question. But if you're saying if he can do that with the short ones, why can't he with the deep ones? But everybody is including the little old lady from Pasadena, knows who he is. So they're aware of him, and they're not going to – and in the middle of the field, they can JoJo him. By that, I mean play Joe and Joe, 2 guys on him, and double covering. So it's harder to throw to an inside receiver a deep route than it is an outside guy. And he's not quite big enough to block the perimeter like you need to be a wide guy. But we do have some plays where we hit him on deep crossing routes. But I can tell you they're looking for all kind of ways to get him the ball, that's for sure. And it's definitely something we need to look at because he's a game changer, and he's consistent too, boy. When he gets it, he knows what to do with it.
I love when everybody
from Pasadena, huh?
Yeah.
Little Beach Boy song, man. No, I love when they go to Branch or they fake going to Branch, Coach, and they just that pump fake and everybody bites on the safety jumps, the corner jumps, the nickel jumps, the linebackers move, and then all of a sudden you've got Noah Thomas or Landon Rolden or London Humphreys wide open because everybody bet on the fact that they thought you were going to number 1. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, well, that's definitely good thoughts by you. So I got one joke for you today. This woman's talking to her husband, said, I'm feeling really romantic. Said, what do you want me in? He said, a coma.
Ooh.
All right, sports fans.
That's all the time we have for this week's show. Join us this Saturday about 7:35 because I imagine kickoff will be about 7:40, 7:45. Join us 7:35 this Saturday on YouTube and or Facebook or Twitter, however you watch the show normally. Shout out to all the people watching us on Twitter, and thanks to all the folks who tried the new vertical format. We have both. We have the horizontal format and we have the vertical format. We let people choose how they want to watch it. So join us for the watch along show. We had 250,000 and then 150,000. We have tons and tons of people watching the show with us, mainly because they can't watch it on YouTube. But we do appreciate you hanging out with us because you're finding out. You get a lot of insight from Coach Donnan during the game, and we'll tell you what's going on. So, and enjoy the show with us, or enjoy the game with us this Saturday, and we'll see you then.
Hey, Roddy, if you see the end button, you might want to hit it because mine is showing up strange.
The what?
The end the stream button.
Okay. I'll figure out, see if I can get it here.
Top right.
Yeah.
If mine's not showing like it ought to, and I'm afraid it's going to leave it rolling.
Yeah.
We can all just get out of here and I can figure it out too.
Yeah. All right, Coach. We'll see you later.
Say good night, Gracie.
Good night.
Good night, Gracie. Bye.